Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Adrienne Montgomery. I'm with ERP VAR. So happy to be joined by Simon Quinn. He's the Director of Sales over at CertaPro Solutions. Matt St. John, he's Sales Executive at V Technologies. And Maya Green, Partner at VIP Integrated Payments. Thank you guys for joining me today. And a couple items about the companies here. CertaPro is based in Los Angeles. They have a team of Sage certified developers and consultants. They offer a number of flagship products for Sage 100 Cloud, including eLink, which integrates with Sage, with Magento e-commerce and automated inventory cycle count program. That's what we're going to be talking about today. And they are dedicated to providing the right solutions designed for your unique business needs. And since they have those developers, they can tailor your Sage 100 system to operate exactly the way you guys work. And Starship is a product by V Technologies, and V Technologies was founded in 1987, and they provide integrated multi-carrier shipping software that connects your warehouse to the front office. And they have dozens of partnerships, parcel partnerships, and LTL carrier partnerships, FedEx, USPS, UPS, OnTrack, Holland, UPS, YRC, Old Dominion for the LTL, and Pitt, Ohio. They have an integration between the carriers and the ERP system. And today we're talking about Sage 100 Cloud, but they also integrate with Sage 300, 500, X3, Dynamics GP, Acumatica, QuickBooks, SAP Business One, Epicor, and SysPro, and e-commerce integrations with Amazon, eBay, Magento, which is what we'll be talking about today, Shopify, and WooCommerce. VIP Integrated Payments is a leading provider of integrated payment technology solutions for North American merchants, and they are differentiated because they build strategic partnerships with multiple platforms for payments. So they understand your unique business needs and they can fit you with the right payment solution based on those unique needs. They have over 10 years of integrating and developing those relationships, and that's part of their drive to help all their business partners succeed and grow. So today we're going to be talking about how CertaPro will automatically count inventory for you for Sage 100 and their strategic partners with inventory management solutions like Scanco, TrueCommerce, for Sage 100, dozens of those partnerships. And Starship will take the details of the order in Sage 100 and find the best shipment provider based on all the rules of the shipment, the location of the customer, the dimensional weight of the package, and things of that nature. Matt's going to elaborate on that. And Maya and team are going to be talking about integrated payments and the 8 mistakes to avoid when you select a partner, a provider. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it off over to Simon. Kick it off with the advanced inventory count.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Again, I'm Simon Quinn, the Director of Sales at CertaPro Solutions. And today we're going to be talking about everybody's favorite topic, which is inventory. So specifically, we're going to be talking about how to manage inventory, which can be a headache for any business, particularly those with that have a high volume level of sales and items that frequently move in and out of their warehouses. So we're going to be discussing CertaPro's Automated Inventory Cycle Count Tool, or AICC for short. It helps companies automate and simplify their inventory counts. So while today's demo is going to be focused on Sage 100, AICC also works with Sage 300 and 500. So if you or any of your clients are using those platforms, what you're going to see today will also be applicable to them. So we've been working with businesses with high volume sales for quite some time, and we have created an inventory management tool specifically designed to meet their needs. So people who are Sage users know that there is no easy way to manage cycle counting in Sage. There is a gap, and this tool bridges that gap. So AICC saves companies time and money while giving them more accurate inventory counts. So AICC integrates with handheld scanning devices. So if you're using Scanco, it'll work with that, and it also works with multi-bin. So it's easy for companies to install, and it's very simple to use. So the secret to better inventory management is implementing a continuous cycle counting program throughout the year rather than having to rely on an annual physical count. Using cycle counting to maintain high levels of accuracy is one of the best ways to identify problem areas in your inventory. So an effective cycle counting program like you're going to see today also eliminates the need for physical inventory expenses. So by performing regular cycle counts, businesses give themselves the opportunity to compare the quantities in Sage to the quantities counted. And this variance provides a powerful opportunity for companies to identify where their inventory system is working well, where there is a low variance, or where they have a control issue that needs to be tightened up, where there's a high variance. So there are some important practical differences between traditional physical inventory counts and using a cycle count program like you're going to see today, our AICC. When you're using a cycle counting program, warehouse staff now perform regular cycle counts of segments of a company's inventory. So companies can designate different cycle counts for different items and assign more frequent counts to higher value items. And with the cycle counts determining how many times each type of item is counted per year. So in a physical inventory, companies often have to suspend their operations until the counting process is complete. And of course, closing down a business for any period of time is costly, and paying employees overtime to handle a physical inventory count can add up as well. So these are all expenses that our AICC can help businesses reduce or eliminate. So with that, I'm going to jump into Sage. Okay, so we have created the software under the main menu in physical count. You'll see here, once you acquire the software, it's called the CPS Inventory Cycle Count Entry Program. So once I launch it, you'll see that the program is a single screen user interface. So it's very simple to use, very easy to manage. The warehouses are identified up here, and use these arrows to scroll through the various warehouse codes. So each warehouse is going to have its own schedule, and you can configure what time you want to generate the cycle count per warehouse. And you're going to set up automatic email notifications by warehouses also. So I'm going to go ahead and select a warehouse, 000, and you can see that these grids populated. So the top grid up here is basically the filtering section. The middle grid is going to represent the filtering choices and shows you what you have assigned into the cycle count intervals. And the bottom grid down here is the summary based on your setup. So it's going to show you how many items per day you will be counting. So if we go up here to the filter grid, you'll see that it's broken up by all valuations, all product types, all procurement. And by selecting or deselecting any one of these, you'll see that the middle grid populates accordingly. But let's say I want to filter down a little deeper. Let's say I want to look at standard unit costs that are greater than $1,000. So you'll see that this grid here has opened up, have pulled in these items that have reflected on that filtering. So once you filter down to the specific sets of items, you can now go ahead and perform your updates. So I've already selected the items that are showing greater than $1,000. And now I want to go ahead and assign an inventory cycle category and define how many times I want them to be counted. But before I jump into showing you how that works, I kind of want to talk about some of these abbreviations up here and what they mean. So YCC, as you'll see, is the yearly cycle count. So upon implementation or adding an item, you're going to give it a value of -1, which means that you have not touched those items yet. When you move them to 0, it means that you've added them to be inventoried and counted. You can also have a number from 1 to 52, meaning that you can assign an item to be counted once a week. You can assign for once a week, once a month, or whatever interval that you actually require. And the update's actually very simple. So if you have a number of items and you want to just update them all at the same time, you can highlight them here, head down to the count frequency, and input any number that you want to do. In this case, I will assign 12, and you'll see it automatically populated to 12. You can also do this line item by line item, or manually select multiple line items and assign a value. If you right-click, now let's say you have a lot more, a number of items above and beyond this, you can export these items to Excel, make the changes in Excel, and then import them back in. So that's a pretty powerful tool to manage those items. Jumping over here for the RC, which is the remaining counts. This is another powerful tool that allows you to set up items that are going to be discontinued. So we know that some items are not going to be in your inventory perpetually. So this basically allows you to define how many more times you want that item to be counted. So let's just say I put in 2 here. Once the remaining count has 2 more counts, it's automatically going to fall off the cycle count process, and it's going to update the YCC to 0 automatically without any additional steps. For force count next time, you have force count all the time, FCHC, and then you have hold. So for hold, we know that in every warehouse, there is going to be scenarios where you will pull certain items temporarily to hold, and you don't want those items to be included in the count until the item is released back into inventory. For FCNT, force count next time, let's say that you find a discrepancy and you want it to be resolved ASAP. So the item in question might be scheduled for a count 2 months from now, but you don't want to wait. So by checking this box here, when you generate the cycle count, that item is going to be included. So jumping up here, the upper right-hand side, we have the scheduler. And basically, what that is, as you'll see, we're simply using the task scheduler from Sage 100. And here you can schedule what days of the week that you want to run the cycle counts. You can select them there. Clicking on the active warehouse, this basically allows you to assign, if you have multiple warehouses, it shows you all the active warehouses and allows you to manage them, to either have them enabled or not. Clicking on the options, there's a number of various powerful tools here, one of which is the rollover YCC count from large to small. This is a helpful option for A, B, C item rankings. So once all of the A items have been counted, it automatically starts to pull in the B category to maintain the same number of items to be counted per day. On the exception days, if we open up the calendar here, this basically, the exception day allows you to enter the days when the cycle count should be skipped. And these can be holidays or vacation days. The holiday type is going to apply to all warehouses, and the vacation type will apply to a single warehouse. Now, generally, when this count is all configured and set up, it's going to run automatically in the background. So every night we can schedule it, and generally companies schedule it for 2 a.m. to generate the counts. At any given time, if you do make changes to items like we discussed here, you do have an option to do a manual generation, which is what I have run today. So let's go ahead and take a look at the manual generation, and we'll look at the, we're going to take a look at the spreadsheet that's delivered via email to the assigned warehouse team. So here you will see it's basically a CS file that tells the employees what needs to be counted. You have the item code, the description, the bin location, last date counted. Some of these columns you can edit if you don't want the warehouse team to see certain information. You can absolutely have that edited as needed. So if you are using a scanning solution, you can quickly go through. This will push right through to the scanner. You can verify all the counts and perform the update into Sage if you're using Scanco. So with that, once that count's been done, we want to go ahead and look at the physical count entry screen. And I'm going to look at lines. We have the warehouse number already pushed. So here's the items that were generated, and this is where they would put in the quantity counted. So once the cycle count has been run, you obviously want to know the results, right? How accurate is my inventory? So for that reason, we have created an explorer called the CPS Inventory Cycle Count History. So as you can see here, this is a place where you're going to find all of the items that not only have a discrepancy, but also the items that you have counted throughout the year that have been accurate. So here you can look into how many items are being counted each day, what the quantity counted, what was the quantity, as well as additional information. And it's completely customizable. So for those that are familiar with Explorer, You can, you can drag and drop fields and use filters to analyze the data. You can also export this to Excel. This we have found some companies have used for the audit process, and it has been used as a bankable document. So with that, that's a high-level overview of our automated inventory cycle count program. I'm going to hand this over to Matt, and we'll talk about Starship. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, thank you, Simon. Thank you, everyone, for taking time to join our webinar. We all really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to learn a little bit about our solutions. Again, my name is Matt St. John, one of the sales executives here at V Technologies. Let me just make sure I'm sharing the right screen here. Okay. So at V Technologies, one of the products that we have developed is called Starship, which is, of course, the integrated shipping solution with Sage 100. As Adrian mentioned, we do integrate with 300, 500. We've been working with Sage for over 20 years now, and of course, are a Sage Gold development partner. And just like Simon, I'm going to be doing a high-level overview, but of course, if anyone would like to kind of get deeper into the weeds and do a deeper dive, more than happy to schedule discovery and, of course, a one-on-one demo to go over Starship. So on my screen right now, this is the Starship program. And one of the nice things with Starship, as a shipper, I could actually just work inside the Starship software. Technically, I don't even need access to Sage. Most of our clients, out in the warehouse, of course, we have our shipping machines. On those machines, really, they just have Starship. Now, it's still going to be a live connection into Sage. So in this case here, as you see, we can pull by sales order numbers, customer numbers, or by invoice numbers. Most clients, it is by sales order numbers. But again, live connection. So as the front office is adding sales orders, Starship is automatically going to be picking those up. Now, with the selection, I do have a couple different options here. Over here is the source document field where I can manually type in a sales order number. If I'm happy to have that sales order number barcoded, Starship does fully support a wedge type plug and play barcode scanner. So just like CertaPro, we do fully integrate with the WMS solutions out there like ScanForce and ScanCo, fully integration with multi-bin. So a lot of our clients that use a WMS, that sales order number is already going to be barcoded, so they just simply scan in the sales order. The nice thing with using a WMS system is however you define the shipment on the handheld device, that's actually how it's going to flow into Starship. So all that item to box detail is going to flow into Starship. So really as a shipper, I don't have to worry about getting into item box detail. Now, just know inside Starship, that is not a requirement. But again, a lot of our customers, they do that because it's nice to show your customers, maybe on a packing list, or you'll see we have an e-notify program. But it's nice to show them that, hey, these are the items in one box, and here's, the second box, and this is the item you should find in that box. But if I scan in, of course, Starship would automatically load the order information. As you see, I can also manually look up orders. If I'm manually looking up, as you see, we can also pull and do filters. So maybe I want to narrow my search result. I can filter that down by any of these Sage fields. We can also get into group-related orders. So basically, Starship fully supports the ability to consolidate multiple orders that are going to the same ship to, or maybe same ship to, same ship via. So in this case, I can, as a shipper, I see, hey, I have 3 orders that are going to Boston, and I can simply select all those, and Starship's just going to consolidate them into one shipment. So just an option. The other way we can use that, if I was manually selecting, say, a sales order number, and in this case here, normally when I click return or load, Starship would, again, automatically load that information. But I also have my system turned on where it's stopping, and instead of loading sales order 222, it's showing me as a shipper that, hey, I see you're trying to ship sales order 222, but I see these other shipments that are also going to that same ship to. So again, it gives me the option to consolidate them all into one shipment. So here I'll just quickly, we'll bring in this one sales order again, just sales order 222. And Starship is multi-carrier, multi-mode. So as Adrian mentioned earlier, we have integrations with parcel carriers, LTL, 3PL. So over 20, or I should say over 24 carriers, and again, 3PL services. So right from one user face really allows me to process all my different type of shipments, and I don't have to jump around. You know, a lot of prospects come to us and, oh, I use UPS WorldShip or FedEx Ship Manager, you know, the carrier assigned shipping software. And it gets to be a hassle because I have to go to UPS to ship my UPS shipments. I have to go to FedEx to ship my FedEx shipments. Or if I'm doing LTL, I have to contact all the different LTL carriers to find out, hey, what's the rate? Or, oh, now I have to notify them that the shipment is going to be ready to be picked up. So really with Starship, we can do all that right from this one user interface. Right. This is actually also our web UI version. I just want to also mention that Starship does now have a full-blown cloud version. Cloud version, the same look and feel, but of course with cloud, the nice thing there, it is, we offer SaaS-based pricing, so we can get into different monthly tiers or even prepay for a year. So different options with Starship. So in here, the source information, of course, that is just the company, and again, the sales order number. Starship does fully support multiple companies, warehouses, locations. Sender information, simply that, the sender information, so the company I'm sending this from. And if anyone out there is doing drop ships or blind drop ships, Starship also fully supports the ability to, you know, in this case here, maybe I'm shipping this for Walmart. I can send this and have this all set up like it's coming from Walmart. Now here, I just did this as a manual drop down. With Starship, we are, again, live connection to Sage, also simply data mapping the fields from Sage. So for example, if I wanted to automate this process, I could have this address ID field simply look at a standard Sage field or even a user-defined or custom field inside of Sage. So I could have a field that just says Walmart, and then Starship would automatically know, oh, yep, this is for Walmart, and automatically change that for my shipper. Again, with Starship, name of the game, streamline your shipping process. So the less things as a shipper I have to click, type, touch, of course, the better. Right? And that's just one example. You're going to see we can help streamline your third party or collect shipments, whereas a shipper, again, I don't have to select and change the billing type or type in my customer's account information. I can have all that automated. Recipient information, simply looking at the ship to from the sales order. And as you see, automatically brings that in. Starship will do address validation. We do validate zip +4. And then transportation, again, looking at your ship vias, that's automatically telling Starship, hey, I need the carrier service, billing type. Again, here, this could be set up. Oh, it's third party. Starship does have a database where you can even set up and store your third party account information. And I'll just click in here. And this is where, as you see, I could store my customer's account address information, and then on this tab, I could actually have their different carrier account numbers. So again, this could be set up as a shipper. This comes in. I don't have to change any of this information. And then if anyone is doing third-party or collect shipments, also know Starship will validate the billing account. So if I try to process this one right now, it's going to tell me, hey, that's an invalid account. I can't ship it. So also going to help save you money on that, because if I did send this out with an incorrect billing account, of course, what UPS would do, they would end up billing my account number. So there's all the transportation details, and really kind of going to drag out this process showing you the different options. But, you know, with Starship, it's a very simple process to get a shipment ready and get your documents printed out. Now, shipment details, same thing. We can flag these from Sage fields. As you can see, I can also have them set as default. So in this case here, Quantum View Notify, which is UPS's email, I have it set up. It's always selected. It's always bringing in an email address from, in my case here, I'm pulling it from the sales order number. But I use this and I set it up to tell Starship, hey, only have UPS send an email if there is a delay or an exception. Because again, with Starship, we have a program where you can create your own custom email templates. That way you can brand them with your company information and not have it have, you know, UPS all over it. All right. Now, packaging, this is usually the first spot a shipper will stop, because this is where I can get into that item box detail. Again, if I'm using a WMS, I don't even have to worry about this. It's going to come in at how I defined it on the handheld device. And then here with this blanket, Starship also fully supports packaging scenarios. So we can, in this case, Starship knows, oh, they're shipping a blanket. I know every time they ship a blanket, it goes into a blanket box. So it's automatically packaged it for me. Now from there, as a shipper, I can manually add individual boxes, or if I have a large order, I can even, as you see on each of these package icons, I can do a repeat box function where I can tell Starship, hey, I need 10 boxes. I can even copy the original weights, click OK, and then Starship would automatically list those 10 different boxes. Now here, I'm going to do item box detail, and as a shipper, I know, oh, yep, the pillow fits in a blanket box. So simple drag and drop. And then this custom package, same with the blanket package. It's just part of another database that Starship has where I can set up and store box sizes or boxes, bags, bales, pallets, what have you. But here, maybe I know this one remaining item goes into a small box. The nice thing with using the packaging is over here, the dimensions will automatically populate, because back over here, I have actual weight where my system, I'm just pulling the weights from inside a Sage. But of course, if I had a scale, I could automatically pull the weights from a scale if it was integrated to my shipping machine, or I can manually type in the weights. But I have actual weight, and then next door we have bill weight. So bill weight is the dimensional weight. So Starship will run the calculation based on the carrier. And in this case here, dimensionally,
Hey, Matt,
this box.
real quick, I don't mean
Yeah.
to interrupt you, but we aren't seeing your screen moving. It's frozen.
Oh, let's see what happened. Yeah, it's actually.
I just switched it. It just looks like it's been switched back, so it might be interacting. Yep, now we can see your mouse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Perfect.
we just have a couple people
Sorry about that. Yeah.
appear to be very interested and they want to see. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I'll just scroll back up. But again, this is kind of all the information I was talking about up top with the sender information, the recipient, the transportation, and in this drop down, this is where I was talking about, hey, I could automatically have this show like it's coming from Walmart, and I'll just change that back to Maine. And then under the transportation is where all the shipment detail is. So here's that billing type and even that third-party database where I could store my customer's account information. And then again, I also was discussing about the shipment options. So here are all those shipment options. And this is where I was discussing about how I have my system set up. It's always selected to use the UPS email. Here's that email address I'm pulling in from Sage. And this is where I have it set to only send an email from UPS if there was a delay or an exception. Okay. And where I was is in this packaging view. So here, again, that packaging, this is that drop-down database for the, in this case, the box information. And as I mentioned, drag and drop my items so I can move them around, simply drag and drop. And then here's that actual weight. So either scale weight or if I manually type in a weight. And then here's that bill weight where this is the calculation in this case that UPS is returning and saying, yo, dimensionally this box is 19 pounds. So in this case, what Starship is doing is it's going to rate shop. And when I process this, it's going to do it at the correct dimensional weight. Okay. Line item detail, this is something where a shipper is not going to have to stop and go, but I like to show this because Starship also has a database for your inventory items. So my system here, everything above freight class, that's all coming in from Sage. I am actually using Starship's database, and I have the freight class NMFC code stored. Over here, international, I can store all that required international data. So here I'll even drill down. We have a lookup code for the Schedule B or harmonized codes. But if this information was missing, nice thing, Starship's going to alert my shipper. I can quickly come in here, maybe search for the Schedule B code, select it. And then once I process this shipment, Starship's automatically going to save any of this information that I add or maybe change. So the next time I process this shipment within the same line item, I don't have to worry about stopping and filling out any of this information. Down below, this is where we get into that live rate shopping. So with Starship, with those carrier integrations, we're going to allow you to live rate shop. So here, I could also see published list charge. Here's my live negotiated contract rate. Okay, so no staging tables, live calls. That way, tomorrow, if UPS ups, say, a fuel surcharge, when you rate shop, you would gain access to those new rates. And then applied charge is simply, in Starship terms, plus or minus any freight rules, because we can set up freight rules where, in this case, I'm giving this customer free shipping. It might be, oh, it's over $50, for example, they receive free shipping. So, with freight rules, they could be percentages, min maxes. Again, it could be by the customer. We can look at user-defined fields if you need, even standard Sage fields. So I even have some customers that they go all the way down to line item detail, and they have freight rules set up for certain line items. Right? Now with rating, I can get into setting this up that even Starship can automatically select maybe the least expensive or least amount of delivery days for each of my shipments. So as a shipper, I don't even have to stop and worry about doing the rate shopping. Okay. But again, I sort of drag this out, which I do, but really normally a shipper is going to bring in the order, maybe they'll do the item box detail, add packages, maybe scroll down, do some rate shopping. But when they're ready, we can simply click the ship and process button, or up top here, we can also use our shortcut keys. I could also create a return label at the same time if I need to. I could save a shipment. Maybe if I'm staging it, want to come back to it later. Oops. Oh, let's see what happened here. See, there we go. It's telling me I can't ship this because I changed it to third party, and that's an invalid third party account. So I'll just change that, and we'll just do the ship and process again. Now, as soon in a live environment, as soon as your shipper clicks ship and process, what Starship's going to do, of course, is start generating your shipping document. Now, for demos, I like to just PDF everything, so it takes a moment to pop all the PDFs. But here we have our shipping label for our first box, the packing list. This is also just what we call our smart label. And of course, this is just an option. We can send the shipping labels to a thermal printer or printers. Some clients, hey, the FedEx label goes to a different thermal printer than the UPS label. So we can do that. Here's the packing list. Options there. You could send that to a thermal printer, a laser printer, or maybe you even want to save it as a PDF to a network share. And then box 2. Documents can also be customized. So again, maybe I am shipping for Walmart or Home Depot and they have a special packing list. We can set up unlimited templates for each of the different documents and then also assign printing logic. So, hey, it's for Walmart. I need Starship to only generate this special Walmart packing slip. Most certainly we can do that. Here, it's international. So Starship could also generate all the international documents. So here's the commercial invoice. And then here's our NAFTA or certificate of origin form. I do apologize. I haven't had a chance yet to update my system, but there are new documents out there. And of course, Starship, we do offer them, have those certified documents. So anyone going forward, the correct documents, those newer documents would generate. But Starship, of course, with LTL, we can generate bill of lading forms, pallet labels. But again, as a shipper, I'm going to click ship and process, receive my document. Starship's then is just going to take me back to the main screen where I can grab my next order, kind of do that rinse repeat. And then over here, I'll quickly jump back into Sage and show you the write back. So another nice feature, and this kind of works out for the front office, is as soon as a shipper processes a shipment, Starship's automatically going to create the invoice. So here's that invoice for the sales order 222, the one we just shipped. Here's the tracking information. Here's my tracking numbers, carrier weights. We're dropping this information directly inside of Sage's tables. So if I wanted to, I could use their little tracking icon, or maybe I wanted to see what was in each box. I could do that as well. And then also on the totals tab, here's my freight amount. So again, plus or minus any freight amounts, we're going to send that back. If there are some scenarios where we do not want to write back freight, we can also do write back rules. And then I also have some customers, Starship does offer the ability to do a custom write back where we can take additional Starship information and send that back into a user-defined field. So that's what this field I have highlighted. So for example, maybe I want to always send back my live negotiated rate with the carrier. So basically what I'm going to be charged. So we can do that. And then here, before someone updates the invoice, they can go in and look and compare and then say, oh yeah, wait a minute, what happened here? We shorted ourselves. Oh, the customer received a discount. Nope, it should have been $75, and simply accept that. Okay. Also, real quick, kind of final things, included with Starship is this ability to rate quote right from sales order entry. That does not affect any of the Starship user seat counts. So you can have as many people using this rate quote button. Again, that's just going to allow them to do live rating right from sales order entry. And then we also have our dashboard program, where that is going to be a good reporting tool that maybe, again, the front office wants to use. Same thing, you can have as many users log into the dashboard program. So here I just have some overviews. I can drill down into any of these grids and get the details of the shipment. Even drill down further and and get back into what we charge, see the actual shipment information. And then over here, let me just close this. As you see, we have history status. We have added a heat map. Maybe you want to see your top hot spots, and canned crystal reports. We have address corrections, late delivery reports, charge comparison reports, so you can see if you're losing money on your shipments. And then here's that e-notify program where I'm just going to go into all my pending, where I can design my own custom email, put your company logo on there, let your customer know, here's all the shipment information, hyperlink tracking numbers, get the customer right back to the carrier's website. With these, you can also create unlimited templates, just like the printing documents, and then also do emailing rules. So here I have a promo code. Maybe I only want this to go to certain customers. Even promo codes, you can hyperlink, get the customer right back to your website. So again, really appreciate everyone joining our call, and feel free to reach out if you have any further questions or want to do a deeper dive. And with that, I'm going to hand this back over to Adrian.
Thank you, Matt. And Maya with VIP Integrated Payments.
Thanks, Adrian. Thanks, guys, for jumping on this webinar today. You guys may or may not know VIP. I did call most of you, so you probably do know who I am. My name is Maya Green. I am the president of VIP Integrated Payments. I also have with me Tom Nanchi. He is a founding partner of VIP Integrated Payments, and we have our counsel, Jay Reeve. What we'll do is we'll go through some mistakes to avoid when it comes to integrated credit card processing, integrated payments, and basically kind of walk you through some of the things to avoid. We'll talk a little bit about payment processing. We'll talk a little bit about who we are. So with that, so the agenda about us, we'll talk about early termination fees, long-term contracts, liquidated damages, the third-party uninstall process, little rate negotiation, how to support your industry, equipment leasing, grossly overstated savings, and the support that we offer and why to work with a payments consultant. So about us, we are an independent integrated payments provider. We utilize multiple platforms, meaning that we can basically use anybody to integrate payments into almost any accounting software, ERP software. We provide end-to-end payment solutions. We work with a diverse network of partners, and we have been doing this for over 15 years. VIP personally has been involved in over 3,500 Sage 100 payments installs. What that means is from point A to Z, from doing the quoting to the setup to customizing receipts and Crystal Report to anything that you can think of when it comes to payments and how it integrates into Sage 100. We've done it. Probably not a scenario that we have not seen. We strive to become your go-to payments provider. We are an extension of your business, and that's what we try to be. When it comes right down to it, you have to look at payments as a standard function of the business. Everybody's taking payments these days, and you want to make sure that you're working with somebody that you know and trust. So we offer a lot of industry differentiating products, whether they're native, whether we created and designed them, and we are ETA certified payments professionals. ETA is the Electronic Transactions Association. With that, we actually sign a code of conduct, and there are several things that go along with that. but most payments providers out there these days are not ETA certified. We, however, are. So what we'll do, we'll talk about early termination fees and long-term contracts, and I will have Jay Reeve step in here. He is our counsel. He has been our counsel for a long time. He specifically does merchant services, counsel, legal. He is an attorney, and he is the best professional that I know when it comes to questions, concerns, anything involving legal, payments wise. So with that, Jay, feel free to take over.
All right, thank you, Maya. As Maya said, my name is Jay Reeve. My practice is I have an independent firm, and my practice is solely focused on the payments industry. I've been doing basically nothing but representing merchants, processors, vendors, and other providers in the payments industry for the last 20 years. I've seen a lot of different types of merchant agreements. I've seen a lot of different types of provisions, and so I've got a really good idea of what gets you into trouble. And with this slide right here, when you're talking about early termination fees and long-term contracts, those really go hand in hand. And you can add one more provision to that. It's basically what I call the unholy triumvirate. It's the term of the agreement, it's the long-term or the early termination fees, and you combine that finally with exclusivity. If you sign an agreement, and most merchant processing agreements are 3-year terms, if you sign a merchant processing agreement with a 3-year term, and it has exclusivity, and it has early termination fees, then you've basically locked yourself down for 3 years, regardless of whether that functionality works to your benefit or not. The best solution to resolve all of these problems is to find a processing solution that's a month-to-month offering. If you can get that, then if you think through the process, early termination fees are worded and built on, if you leave before that 3-year term is up, if you start processing with somebody else, then you owe us. It's usually it's like the greater of a flat rate, $400, $500, $800, or a calculation that's basically the revenue that the processor would have received over the remainder of the contract. So it can be quite expensive to get out of that. But if you're able to go to a month-to-month contract, then even if there's early termination fees, even if there's exclusivity, then the longest you're locked in is for a month, and it gives you the flexibility to respond to market changes. It gives you the flexibility to do a lot of other things. So those are the things I always advise my clients, my merchant clients, to look at when they're entering into a deal. Look and see what that term contract is. Look and see what the early termination fees are. Early termination fees are supposed to be set out in distinctively in the pricing schedule for your processing agreement, but sometimes it's not. So sometimes you have to read the details of the contract to find that. Another area that you want to look at is probably the security interest. Not all merchant agreements have security interest language, but you need to be aware of that. Again, you may not be able to do that much about it depending on who your processor is, but you need to be aware if that language is in there, because that language could cause you unknowingly to be in default on any letters of credit or financial arrangements, loans, any lender contracts, things like that. So you want to be careful about that piece. Indemnification. I would say the majority of the merchant agreements out there in the marketplace have fairly standard indemnification clauses, but some of them, like this one listed here, it kind of goes on and on and on and on. So you've got to be able to look at that and make sure you don't, you're not signing up for anything that's too aggressive. Somebody asked on, the last time I did this seminar, somebody asked, well, can you negotiate your merchant agreement? Unless you're Home Depot or, a major merchant, Walmart, big companies like that, they negotiate merchant agreements all the time. Most of the other companies, merchant agreements are take it or leave it. And so that's why it's important to be sure and look at that merchant agreement before you sign it. Call me, hire me to look at that merchant agreement, or another industry professional to review the merchant agreement, and they can help highlight the pitfalls and the benefits of each particular merchant agreement. And that's one of the things that working with a company like VIP will bring to the table, because they in effect negotiate merchant agreement terms on behalf of all their merchant clients. So normally, the provisions that we're highlighting here are not as much of a problem when you go through an integrated payment solution like VIP. I think that's about it from my standpoint. The termination by merchant. Yep, there's the exclusivity piece. You've got to really look out for exclusivity. And by the way, when it comes to exclusivity, don't just read the headings. And this contract that we're using for an example, I mean, there's a whole section entitled exclusivity. Some merchant contracts are not that clear, and they will have it won't be an entire section. It'll say something in one of the paragraphs, usually early on in the agreement. It just says something like, you agree to send us all your payment processing transactions. Exclusivity wasn't, the word exclusivity was not used, but the processor will deem that to be an exclusive agreement. So, it really pays to read those things closely. Really pays to get some help on the pricing schedule. I don't know of any other industry out there that has more complicated pricing structures than payments. So it's always good to get some professional advice on the payments piece of it, because you really don't know whether you're getting a good deal or a bad deal. So with that, I'll stop. Maya, if you've got any questions for me or anything else I can address, and just please let me know.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jay. So there are a lot of little things that you have to navigate around when it comes to payments. One is, does the solution work? Two is the legal part of it, right? So everything that we work with, every platform that we work with is tried and true. We play well with everybody. All of the third-party solutions, and we have for a long time. We recommend the ones that we recommend because we know that they work. We know that the solutions that they have are good. We know that the contracts are good. So what I want to kind of point out too is there are certain solutions that when you use them, one, you sign up for the scary contract, but when it comes to install and uninstall, what they're not telling you is that they will set up files on your system that when it comes right down to it, if you ever want to leave, you essentially have to uninstall the whole library master to get rid of it. So you uninstall and reinstall the whole library master, and in order to make sure that it doesn't error out. So at the end of the day, this is what we help with all the way through the process, from the setup of the application to setting up the merchant account, to any customizations of the receipts and crystal reports, to click to pay. Anything that you guys need, we can help set up, and that's kind of what our job is. We're just an extension of you guys. You can look to us for anything that you need. Another thing that we want to touch on, and I will hand this off to Tom, is how to negotiate low rates. And with that, I will let Tom discuss the negotiating low rates.
Perfect. So when we're talking about rates, we try to educate
the customer or the business owner, merchant. So that way, when you're going over rates, you fully understand kind of the payments business. And a lot of people leave those conversations knowing a lot more than the general population does about payments. So what we typically have customers talk about is what's called interchange pricing. Interchange is where you get the most optimized savings. So everybody, or hopefully everybody, has heard what's called level 2 and level 3 processing. That's when you're passing additional line item detail, bill to, ship to information to the processor. And when you're processing inside of Sage, all that data exists inside of Sage. So when you're passing that data, it's passing some of the line item information and your bill to, ship to. So that way, when you're passing that data to the card networks, you're getting the lowest rate possible. So when you start to talk about rates, if you ever hear the word like non-qualified or qualified or bid qualified, that typically means that you're on a tiered pricing. And if your current processor has you on that type of pricing structure, you want to get off of that. Make sure that you're talking to your processor about interchange pricing. That way, you're taking all the savings. The processor isn't taking all the profits. You're taking all that money and putting it back in your pocket instead of the processor's pocket. Same thing with flat rate pricing. A lot of people like Square and PayPal have made the flat rate pricing very popular, where they can just give you one flat rate and it is what it is. Again, there's different types of cards that have different charges. Where like a debit card would be sub 1%, business cards would be sub 2%. So if you're using Square or PayPal and they're charging you 2.9, they're taking all that profit in. So negotiate your rates, start to ask for interchange pricing, and reach out to us. So we help you navigate your merchant services. So a lot of times, if you just want to work with us to help negotiate your rates and not change your current processor, we also do that. Or if you want to work with us solely, we welcome that as well. And we always do rate analysis. We always say that, we never put any customer in a long-term contract. Everything is month to month. And our philosophy is that if we're doing our job right, then you'll be a customer for a very long time. If we're not doing our job right, then there's no repercussions, no penalties. It's just a month-to-month agreement. So fortunately for us, we haven't, our churn rate is very much nil. So, it just kind of goes to show you that our customers feel that we are doing our job right. You also want to work with a payments consultant that knows your industry. So when you're utilizing Sage, if you're a wholesale, if you're a distribution company, manufacturing services, construction, food and beverage, kind of the list goes on. But work with somebody that knows your business, that knows Sage, that knows every corner and everything that your business can do for payments. Again, we've been doing this for over 15 years, so just like Maya said, there's not really much that we haven't come across, and we hold that tried and true. Same thing with our support. In this day and age, not many people give out their cell phone numbers, but we give out our cell phone numbers so that way you can call us, text us, email us. We hold support at the top level. Another thing to look out for is if you're not integrated or integrated and your current provider is charging you for the equipment, it's not really something you want to do. Those machines are really inexpensive. They're usually just a couple $100. So a lot of times there's other service providers that will charge you a monthly service fee for that equipment. They usually range between $15, if you've seen somebody charge like $70 a month. And they usually have an agreement where they're leasing you that terminal for 3 years. So if you're paying $50 a month for a terminal times 3 years, you're looking at around $1,800 when that actual terminal probably would have cost you only $250. So look out for that. Some processors do that, and it's a big no-no in our book. We don't do that, and a lot of times we'll even give you the terminal for free. It also goes back to the terminals too. If you're running Sage as a retail solution too, we also have integrated what's called Cloud EMV. So that way you can, if you're using Sage 100 in a hosted environment, if it's through remote desktop or remote apps or any hosted service, and you're using like a regular swipe terminal on the counter, you definitely want to get that integrated and use the EMV card. So there's a big liability shift that we'll probably get into on another webinar. But just know if you're using a chip card in a swipe environment, you as the business owner holds all the liability, and a customer would win any chargeback that occurred. So definitely want to look at Cloud EMV solution. When it comes to savings, ask a lot of questions. If someone's going to save me $5 grand a month, I want to know how that's going to happen, right? I'm just not going to take their word for it. I want them to show me where the savings are coming from, how the savings are coming from, and where they can point that out on my current merchant statement. So when we see competing analysis and they're saving $5 grand, this doesn't make any sense. There's no way that all of their transactions are qualifying at level 3. They just might be doing, either this person is really bad at math and really lazy and just putting everything at level 3, and so everything's qualifying. But not all of their customers are paying with a purchase card. It's just ridiculous when we see this. And a lot of times it's the person that's trying to just win the account and trying to do everything they can to push it over that line, even if it's lying to you. So ask a lot of questions. And again, we're more teachers at heart, so we'll pinpoint through, and we're more conservative in nature in the analysis. So we'll walk you through where the savings are, what type of cards you're accepting, what that true level 2, level 3 processing charge for that card is. So we try to teach you more about payments than just making you sign on the dotted line. We want to educate you. We want to make you informed. And a lot of people are really wowed by that wow, now I know more about payments than pretty much anybody else does, including the controller. So we're very much a neutral party. We educate you. We train you. Again, we don't charge for support. So there's no support fees, no install fees, no consulting fees. We manage everything in-house. So again, it goes back to kind of support is tried and true for us. So we're available 24/7, 365. This is actually my cell phone number, Maya's cell phone number, and Jay's number as well. So call us, text us, email us, write us a letter. Whatever you need, we're fully available. We won't give you a 1-800 number to call and punch in numbers just to get frustrated. So reach out to us with any questions, and we look forward to hearing from everybody. So
let me just add one more thing, guys. For the reseller partners out there, even if the client is not our client, even if we didn't sign them up, doesn't matter what platform they're on, and it doesn't matter who they're with. If they're having an issue, feel free to reach out to us. We can generally get it fixed in, 5-10 minutes tops, and make the day better for them. We don't charge for that. It's one of the things that we offer when you're working with us. We're always happy to do it. So feel free to reach out to any of us at any time. Any legal questions, feel free to hit Jay up on that. Payment processing questions, platform questions, software. When it comes to payments questions, we're here and we're available. Okay. So with that, we'll turn it back over to Adrian. We appreciate your time today, and we'll look forward to working with you guys.
Thank you, Maya and team. I want to thank the audience for spending your time with us. We know it's hard to come by. And we just appreciate you spending it with us. Everybody enjoy the rest of November and happy Thanksgiving. Take care. Bye-bye.